We worked in Bismarck plus the Solomon Seas, almost the entire waters of Papua New Guinea there. And the objectives were mainly to find new species in the deeper waters of Papua New Guinea from 100 meters to 1,500 meters. And so far, like we hit like maybe 10 new species already. And because there are a lot of, we got like 200 species, and the work is still being, as I speak, the work is still being done. And hopefully we might, like 10% of the entire catch could be new species. That's only in fish. For the crustaceans, I've said there are 500 plus. And I think that 10 to 15% of those 500 different types of crustaceans are new species. Right now you can see there, already in family and maybe in genus there. And maybe there are already 1,000, including all the living organisms, fish, crustaceans, and so on. We just scratch the surface. That's the truth. We just scratch the surface. Right now in the deep sea, we don't know. We just know maybe 2% of what's happening down there. And now we just want to destroy them before even documenting them. This is not right, I think. You know, they've been developing for millions and millions of years. And now we're just going to take them only a few months to, you know, completely wipe them out. Bluntly, we don't know. The aquatic zone, which is about 400 meters, that's where a lot of the life that we are aware of, fish, they live around that zone. A deep sea, we're just beginning to know. And to make it worse, as I've said, we don't know whether those two systems actually connect.
Yes. The chain actually.
Yeah, perpendicularly. Or even laterally too. We don't know whether they actually interact. That's unknown to science. It's unknown, completely unknown.
On land it's pretty straight. When you drop it here, you know you can manage it within that particular confinement. In the ocean, that little bit that they've said, and you talk about, you know, 2,000 meters, anything below this, you cannot manage it. It's out of your control.
After they bring up those chimneys up there, crush them, all the waste will be dumped. After 25 meters or so, and then they just let go. 25 meters and then just into the sea. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
When did it happen? Those tunas, they got a very powerful smell system. And they move around to find their ways through the smell system. Just imagine if you destroy those odorants because of the other chemicals that will interact. How would the tuna find their way back? The tuna industry now, as we know, the NFA and fisheries industry in this country is based on tuna. Nothing else. When this mining kicks off, underwater mining kicks off, and if it destroys the behavior tuna, the tuna industry, as we know, will be destroyed. Another thing, mercury. Not only mercury, but there could be other heavy metals that we're going to bring up from the bottom of the sea. We don't know. We don't even know how they will react to the physiology of the fish and even human bodies there. So if the tuna can get them, and if they're in the system, and you know we export tuna, right? And if they analyze those our tuna meat, and if they find a certain level of those elements, maybe mercury and other elements that are detrimental to human body, they would just say no more buying fish from PNG. And tuna industry will be history.
Even in the Pacific, because tuna migrate out of the...
Exactly. Exactly. Those tuna that comes around, they They are migratory. They don't stay within our own waters. They're migratory. So I think we really, if the mining, they have to really come out how they're going to handle their operations. They have to come out very clear. And that place that they're going to actually mine, this is the migratory route for tunas.
So about one.
Not only tunas, all the whales also that come through this. The mammals, yeah. So, you know, it's kind of scary.
In relation to the bougainville impact, because you have to understand Papua New Guineans or the Pacific in being smart. If they don't see logic, they will take it in their hands. That's what I mean by social conflicts that it could easily take into the high seas. In relation to the shifting from the ocean, from the land to the ocean, you cannot mix ocean and land together in terms of its policies. Applying our land laws into the ocean don't mix. And so in the PNG laws, our house is not in order. The Mining Act 91, 92, basically we haven't catered for the waste that goes in the deep sea. The Mining Safety Act, again, doesn't apply here in the ocean. The Mineral Resources Act in 2005 actually is very silent. The IMO, the Noumea Treaty, the Environmental Act, our Marine Pollution, our Fisheries Act is actually not included and actually just been brushed aside. We have a problem because we need to develop what they call an ocean policy under the law of the sea and under the Mining Act as well. The provincial governments don't know where their boundaries are. And so these what they call tenure issues, that the land, like on the land, the landowners say this is mine. In the ocean it's a little difficult. So for clarity, it has to be done.
We have overlooked as well the cultural aspect of element arguments against deep sea mining, and especially the significance of the Bismarck Sea or certain parts of the Bismarck Sea to the people of the New Guinea Islands region, especially New Island province. So some of the cultural rituals such as the Kontu shark calling ritual in the Kontu area in the west coast of New Island province, where shark and the rituals of calling out sharks from the deep sea is a practice that has been around since generations. So this is a ritual that has gone so many generations, and it's life of the people of that part of the Pacific. This is the only place in the world where the shark calling ritual is conducted, so it's been practiced. For us in the southern part of Niuenova, where the proposed saltwater tree tenement is now being considered, we also have connections to the sea, because some of our mythical creatures, the masalites as we know them, also now when they were chased out or they left the land, they went into the sea, and now they're guardians of the sea. So in our tradition, we consider the sea to be a mysterious place where creation came out of, and where the creation, the spirit beings have gone back into to safeguard our land-based environment. My clan, the Nguma tribe, or the Nguma clan, the Pro clan, actually have a Masalai called Tau Tau, and Tau Tau actually left the land and went into the sea, and it now occupies a certain area in the Bismarck Sea, which is sacred in our belief system. In our oral culture, in our mythology, or in our religious belief system in Niuenova, where I come from, the southern part of Niuenova, when we die, our spirits actually leave the island and it traverses this ocean pathway called the Selenimat, or the path of the dead. So the spirit does not, our spirit of the dead, go through 3 different locations. When a person dies, in the afternoon, when the sun sets, the spirit leaves the island, the body of the human person, the deceased, goes down to Tingwanimat and rests there for the night. So Tingwanimat is in the western part of the island of Niuenova. After the Tingwanimat phase, and when the sun is beginning to rise in the east in the very early morning hours, the spirit leaves T1 Mark and goes to Might, and that part that it goes to Might, is where the tip of the Solwara 3 project lies. It's very significant because if you have foreign vessels parked right in the middle of this particular pathway, it is a disrespect. It's in a way disrespectful, and it is inconsiderate of the way that we observe our the customs and our spiritual connection. So the sea is part of our life and our traditions. We cannot live without the sea. The land is where we are given birth on, but the sea is connected to us like our brother because we subsist on the sea and certain histories that we connect ourselves with. Younger generations of Papua New Guineans growing up without even understanding the significance of these the stories that make our cultures as they are. These are stories that did not come about yesterday. The traditional sacredness of our spirit beings are not respected by foreigners, a Canadian-based company. How much more would we be respecting it? So they set the precedent for subsequent degradation by our own people. So they will not see the hope of even having any faith in our own belief system. And so you have this cascading influence where our young generations now will eventually not be attentive to our own cultures.
Our environmental impact, as I said, again, we have two phases. One is phase 1, which is 30 months. They will trial it because the government is allowed for them to do this. We know we have read it. We know it's flawed completely. Why do you design a phase 1 that you're going to trial? To me, it's a risk. The other thing too is the environment management and monitoring program is not included. It has to be included as part of what you call the mitigation strategy in dealing with the phase 1. That's not included. It should have been presented, and only then you think, okay, we know where the risks are. There's no comprehensive hazard and risk management approach dealt with this. It hasn't been taken. What if any of those goes wrong? They will pack up and go. They don't have anything to responsibility for the government of Papua New Guinea. The issues of the phase 1 EIS is this. We found that there's holes in it. Issues in the environment impact statement. Big time. The new technology never applied anywhere, never tested anywhere. The testing hasn't been done. It's desktop study because they haven't got data. There's no data available for the last 2 years, 3 years that they know about that spot, about this tenement, the one solar water. And in terms of sea floor products, the tools they're going to see, again, it's new. We're not too sure. The oceanographic and meteorology studies in this is flawed. We know that they haven't covered enough, and it's very short. We know the tide is, some of the currents are very, very strong right through. Yet, this work is not very done well. And we don't look at 2 to 3 years. If you want to understand the dynamics of the ocean, you need to do it long term. At least 10 as part of what they call a precautionary principle in some of these international laws that we as a government has ratified. It must be done. The waste issue and sediment, that's one of the biggest ones. We know that it's about, in projection, they're looking about 2 million tons 1 year will be deposited back. And we're looking at 8 microns. From my experience, looking at Bogan and Octelli, they were looking at 10 microns. That was a little large. This is very, very fine. The biodiversity, as we said, some fantastic biodiversity in the Bismarck will be affected. And that's not enough. The work hasn't been enough. The biodiversity assessments, the physics hasn't been analyzed properly. We know that animals live there. We have done that work. We know fish live there. We know the biochemistry actually it's interactive there. What if any accidents happen in those barge in between these 50 kilometers between Rabaul and the site? Then you have another disaster.